Hello mutants, and welcome to Mutoid's Mega Mutant review of Rusty Hearts. Now this is a game very close to, well, my Rusty Heart. Oh god, that was a terrible joke. That was just awful. But yeah, I love this game. It's been out for years. I was there for I think it was the closed and open beta. I've had many characters, none of them have reached top level, but I am slowly working towards it. In fact, I've started out 2 new characters now, one for main play and one for spare. It's a very, very beautiful game. Even when you turn all the graphics down to 0, it's a beautiful game. You've got 4 different characters to choose from, with 4 different 4 completely different characters. One of them is a vampire who uses melee weapons and uses the power of darkness. You've got a witch who uses magical weapons. You've got a guy who as a kid was attacked by some sort of like magical wolf, and now he's like fused with it, and so he has like a wolf hand, a wolf claw. And there's a woman who sort of uses guns and explosives and magic, and each of them have their own weapons. So Franz, who's the vampire, he has axe, sword, and twin swords. Angela, who's the magic user, has magic sword, scythe, or glaive, which is what I'm using there, the glaive. Tood, who's the gauntlet guy, he can use a gauntlet, his wolf claw, or dual gauntlets. And then there's Natasha, the gun user. She can use dual pistols, rifle, or a weapon bag, which can transform into like mini guns and stuff like that. It's an amazing game. It's all dungeon instant based. If I can speak damn English, it's all dungeon and instant based, where you choose what level you want to go on to, how difficult it is, and then you do it. And like these kind of games, like Continent of the Night Seal, what else? Well, just games like that. You get graded at the end of how well you did, so like how many times you got hit, how many times you hit them, the biggest combo you made, and what's brilliant about the combo system in this game is abilities, they link into each other. Even when you dodge, you can do a special attack, and I just ran into a pillar there. Even when you dodge, you can attack, because there's a special attack which normally knocks down enemies, but you can't attack after that, which means, you know, there's a sort of price to pay for using it, which is very cool. But most abilities link up to each other, so you can see all my skills at the bottom there. I've got them lined up, so all I have to do is press them one after each other, and I do a ton of damage to a group of enemies. And this is one of those games where you're not meant to be hit. You're supposed to dodge attacks. You're supposed to herd the enemies into a group and take them all out. Get rid of the range, like the archers or red maids here. Get rid of the magic users and the healers and the enemies that can give the other mobs buffs. There's also a lot of loot. As you can see from the screen right there, there's a lot of loot. Some of that loot is quest items. You will be going through the same map multiple times, and some quests want you to collect certain items. Some quests want you to kill a certain enemy on a certain difficulty. So as you can probably, or hopefully, see from my quest tracker on the side, there's a quest called the Rumour Mill, which says Blood Mode. And Blood Mode, you have to collect these things called Clovis of Illusions, in which you can get on very hard mode after killing the boss. It's a random drop, and basically everything, all the difficulty is just buffed up immensely, but you get special loot. You don't gain any experience from it, it's pure loot, and you get some of the highest level gear from it, and it is very hard. I was stupid enough to go through it on my own. I did go on one of the lower level dungeons, but it was one where the end boss was called Boozatron, and Boozatron is by far my most hated boss in the whole game. I mean, there are late game enemies, which, like, one of them is a giant gorilla, in which every now and again he decides to jump into his tree and heal himself a little. He's difficult, but I'm fine with him, because he doesn't tend to attack that much, and he just summons mobs every now and again. It's fine, I'm perfectly fine with that. There's like a boss called Cerberus, who's like just... Or is it Cerberus, or is it Fluffy? No, his name is Fluffy. Sorry. But he's a giant dog that, like, is one of the Titan bosses sort of thing. It's like there are only certain instances where you can attack. There's points where you have to dodge the attacks, that kind of thing. And he's not too difficult. But Boozatron, it's just like, there's this attack where he makes himself go blue, so he electrifies himself, and then does a spinning attack which you can hardly block, and if you're caught in, you're going to get hit multiple times, and because you get hit multiple times, your rank goes down a lot. So like, you can go from a triple S rank to an A rank, which is really, really annoying. So it's like, on Blood Mode, it's really hard, or really annoying, especially when you've just unlocked Blood Mode, which I was stupid enough to do straight away. But you've got loads of variety of enemies in the game. So you start out with just skeleton enemies, and then you get special skeleton enemies, so you unlock skeleton archers, then like spear skeletons and axe skeletons. Then you get these fish people called Hackens, and then you get Hacken archers, and pretty much every boss in the game, apart from Titan bosses, so like the giant gorilla, Fluffy, who else? I think Boozatron, but the mole, that's one. I haven't seen Boozatron late game, but I think he might be. But mini bosses, bosses in early games, so like the Butcher, the Hammer Butcher, Armoured Butcher. There are lots of butchers, as you can tell. The Mole, which is not the mole, the Thing, which is right there. Red Skeleton. They all become basically mini bosses, part of mobs. They're not too bad. Just get them in. If you just herd all the enemies around them and then try and take care of the mobs, they'll go down easily. What else? What I do? They're working on They're still working on a lot of this game. There are still little things here and there, but it's a great game. You've got to... It's one of those games where you do have to sort of learn the pattern of enemies, learn what action they do when, so you know what they're about to do, and if you can dodge it, block it. They've also got a system called Just Guard, in which if you time a guard correctly, then it basically blocks all damage from that attack, and you also get to do a counter attack, which, depending on your character, does a certain effect. So Angela there, she sends a line of spikes in front of her. Also, at the end of each level, when you collect cards throughout the game, you get to select out of... You can collect up to 6 cards, but you probably won't ever... Well, I'm not saying ever, but chances are it's rare that you'll get 6 cards. But you get a choice of 9 to turn over. You can choose 1 out of 9 to turn over. The 3 that aren't part of your cards are just a large amount of money. And there's bronze, silver, gold cards, so that depends on what you get. Or like how high quality that item is. What I suggest and what I tend to do is, once you've chosen one, stick with that same one for the whole game, because one thing that I've always done, and I know a lot of people do, is like when they choose one and then they get like just money, then the next time they play, or next time they finish a level, they choose a different one and all they get is money, and then the one that they picked last time had lots of money, had like the item on it. They get really annoyed. So if you just choose the same one, then you're never gonna lose, really. Also, here you can see the skill system, skill tree. At level 20, you get to pick what your main weapon will be for the rest of the game, but you get to choose, you get to play with the 3 weapons. As you can see, there's a diverse range of skills. There is a skill calculator being worked on for the game. Also, one of the things about the skill system is, obviously you want to see what it does. They are working on that. They're working on a system where you can, like, I think it's you press shift and click, and it shows you exactly what the skill does, because when you're picking a skill, you don't want to go wrong. And before you choose your focus, spend all you want, because you can never go wrong. It's so that you can see the effects of what it does. But when you choose your focus, you want to know what things do. I'm lucky enough to know what most things do. What to pick, what not to pick, what I prefer. I prefer being a glaive user, a very combo heavy person, not giving a chance for the enemies to attack. Whereas I know some people like to be, okay, far off, strong, just one big strong attack here, one big strong attack there, even if it takes 2 seconds to cast. I prefer mine being just instantly available, combo type. And each weapon is used very differently. I mean, like, the glaive, if you just straight up mash, you'll just use 3 hits. Whereas if you hit twice, the glaive does a spin attack, and if you time it right, you can do a 3rd hit. So that's actually, I think, 4 or 5 hits instead of just a 3-hit combo. Which is awesome. And the scythe, if you attack, or if you do a combo and then press and hold Z, which is the block key, then you do stuff. So I kind of ran out of video for that. So yeah, it's a great game. Go buy it. Well, not buy it. It's free. It's completely free. It's definitely a recommendation for me. I don't know how I'm going to fill in this part. I'm probably just going to put a black screen saying ran out of video. But yeah! Subscribe, like, comment Mutant today. Peace.